So I think in order to kind of speed up time, what we could do is, it was suggested to read the oath. Um, oh. Does it have all? Oh.
Is this a Word document?
Okay. Okay. Blank. Okay. All right. There was a little bit of a mix-up here. I apologize. So what we were going to do is kind of change it up so we can speed up the process a little bit. So what I would do is kind of explain why we brought, part of the process is to become a trustee, there's an oath of office given, and it's signed in by the division's commissioner of oath, which is Lisa Nitition. So what we will do is read off the affidavit for oath of office, and I believe what we'll start with the first line where we'd identify yourself and of the location we're at, and then we'll continue into reading, if that makes sense to everybody. So I don't think we want to put all our mics on, but because we will have feedback. But what we will start off with is the first line where it says that I was elected a school trustee of said ward of the Sunrise School Division on the first day of November 2022. And the next line would be that I am actual resident elector within said school division. And followed by the next line that that my place of residence is, and that's where you would fill in your actual residence, said Beausejour, Oak Bank, Anola, where have you. and that I am a Canadian citizen, and that I am of full age of 18, and that I am not otherwise disqualified under the Public Schools Act, and that I will faithfully, impartially, of the best of my ability and knowledge, and perform and fulfill the duties of the office of school trustee of ward that you are representing of Sunrise School Division, to which I have been elected, and so long as I we'll just have Lisa go around then and sign, commission the oaths. She'll make her way around the room with all the trustees, and then we'll continue with the rest of our meeting. All right, glad we got that part over with. I'm sure that's the only hiccup that this board's gonna see this year, so it's a good sign, right? I hope. Okay, moving on to adoption of the agenda 3.0. Be it resolved that the board approve the agenda. So I'll need a mover and a seconder. Trustee Nickel, And trustee Rowan? All right. What we'll do is we'll vote now. All right, oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. She casted 2 votes. So I'll explain to everybody, there's some technical difficulties before the meeting, so we had to ensure that we spell trustee Boydson's name correctly, and therefore it's showing up twice. We recognize one will further be absent on the remaining portion of the meeting, but the decision passed 9-0. All right, move on to the next adoption, or the next one. Next is the Public Schools Act. Public Schools Act, Section 53.5, which is the Secretary Treasurer disclosure. So I will address what the disclosure is, and then we'll read the motion and continue on. So the public sector section 53, I should pull it up on the screen here. Hard to chair a meeting and open documents. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the disclosure, the Public Sector Schools Act requires the Secretary Treasurer to recognize at the first meeting of each year, provide a written statement to the board of all occupations which I may be engaged with or involved with for funds that I may receive money other than the school division. So at this time, I'll advise the board that I do own my own active grain farming business operation with my husband. The farming activity will result in financial transactions between other vendors and other farming operations. In the above engagement, I am not aware of any conflict of interest between the farming operation that I own or the vendors that I may be dealing with related to the farming operation, and if there is any conflict with the Sunrise School Division. So in addition, the farming operation will not interfere with my primary focus, the Sunrise School Division operations. As per section 53.5, the Secretary Treasurer will also required to thereafter during the year as they occur, report such additional occupations or discontinuance thereof. So I will therefore report on any activities or changes in my status as they occur during the school year. Okay. So given said that, I'll give the reading of the motion. Be it resolved that the board accept the disclosure as presented by the Secretary Treasurer. I'll get a mover and a seconder. Mover, Trustee Magnon, and Dent. All right, now we'll vote. Trustee Dent. Okay. All right. And it passed 9-0. And it looks like Trustee Boydson can only vote once now. Excellent. Okay. Now that we got some of that heavy lifting out of the way, next item on the agenda is the introductions of the trustees. And I believe we took a group photo already. So I can go around the room and officially introduce everyone. I'll start to my right this time. And what I'll do, I'll introduce the trustees, and then I'll also introduce the staff that make this function work, this meeting work. Okay, and I'll start off with, to my right, Paul. Yes.
So my name is Paul Magna. I'm a trustee for Ward 7 of the Powerview Pine Falls area.
Robin Harris, I'm the trustee for Ward 6, Broken Head.
Alicia Smith, trustee for the town of Beauchesher.
I'm Don Nichol, the trustee from Whitemouth Meadows area.
Lorraine Boydson, trustee for Ward 2, Enola area.
Melissa Rowan, trustee for Ward 4, the Oak Bank area.
Russ Reed, trustee from Lac Bonnie, Ward 8.
Diane Rowland, trustee for Dugald, Ward 3.
Hi everyone, I'm Dustin Dent. I am the trustee for Ward 4, the Oak Bank area.
All right, thank you. And I'll let the staff now introduce themselves, starting off with Lars.
Good evening, everybody. Lars Philberg, Assistant Superintendent of Learning and Student Services.
Normally I'm not chairing meetings, so I'll just say I'm Jody Thiessen, I'm the Secretary Treasurer.
I'm Kathy Timko, the Superintendent.
I'm Stacy Bonto. I'm the Executive Assistant to the Board and to Jody.
All right, now we got the introductions over and done with. Next is the exciting part where the board gets to appoint or nominate the chairperson. So what I will do is, moving on to the next part, is I will ask for nominations. The role of the, asking for nominations for the chair of the board. I don't know, at this point in time, I don't know if the board is familiar, and I would imagine everybody is familiar with the role of the board, but for the most part, the responsibility is chairing the board meetings and attending any other functions that they may be asked for a board representative, along with various other tasks that seem to be assigned to that individual. So I will open the floor and ask for nominations for the chair. All right, I'll start. I saw Trustee Harris.
I would like to nominate trustee Paul Magnan for chairperson of Sunrise School Division.
And Trustee Magnan, do you accept the nomination?
I will.
All right. I will ask two other times, asking for nominations for chair of the board. Seeing none, I'll ask one more time for a nomination for chair of the board. Okay, seeing none, I see that nominations are now closed and that we don't have any other interested parties. This part I'm not very familiar with. Usually I'm anticipating a vote, but congratulations, Paul. You can take over and enjoy chairing the rest of the meeting.
Thanks, Jody. You can wipe your brow now and just say thanks, that's over with. So thanks a lot for doing that, Jody. We appreciate that. And thanks to the rest of the board for the trust in myself. I appreciate that. Certainly what I will try to do is make sure that we're as collaborative and allowing as much voice as possible, that everyone can get voice, certainly around the table. That is something that I would like to go ahead and do. I'll take over with the vice chair. Basically, job description of the vice chair is chairs our in-camera meetings, sits together with the chair in their agenda planning, and would go ahead and fill in whenever I can't go to any kind of functions that are required of me. So that is really what the vice chair does. I'm going to open it up for nominations for our vice chair. Trustee Nickel?
I nominate Robin Harris.
Trustee Harris, do you accept?
I will.
Nominations for vice chair. Nominations for vice chair going a second time. Nominations for vice chair going a third time. Okay, so I'll declare the nomination period closed for vice chair, and we have acclaimed Trustee Harris for our vice chair. Congratulations. Following along on our agenda, and we now have the role of our Finance and Audit Committee. So this is our finance chair, a pretty important role with our school division. With the committee certainly spearheading all of our finance review with our secretary treasurer, and certainly bringing any kind of information and issues forward to the board. So hearing that, I am going to open the nominations for our finance chair. Trustee Reed?
I'll nominate Diane Rowland.
Trustee Rowland, do you accept?
I will. Thank you.
Any other nominations for our finance chair? Trustee Harris?
I would like to nominate Don Nickel.
Trustee Nickel, do you accept?
Yes, I do.
Any other nominations for our finance chair? So I'm going to make a nomination, just so that we're very transparent. We have shared what the board is interested in going ahead and doing, and Trustee Boytson has asked that she'd be interested in the chair of the finance committee. Trustee Boytson, I'd like to nominate you. Do you accept?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for the finance chair? Are there any other nominations for the finance chair? Are there any other nominations for the finance chair? So my understanding is we have Trustee Rowland, we have Trustee Nickel, and then we have Trustee Boytson that all will have an election with regard to a finance chair. A reminder that your ballots are coming around to you with Assistant Superintendent Lars, Mr. Fielberg, and we will go ahead and vote one name of those three. So to be transparent with everybody, our scrutineers for our reading our ballots are Stacy Bonato and Lars Spielberg. Thanks, Stacy and Lars. So congratulations to Trustee Rowland, you're our new finance chair. And thanks to the other two for letting your name stand.
Thank you.
We now have a policy committee chair. So our policy committee chair works closely with Superintendent Timko in reviewing our policy, any kind of changes that we make with the committee, and certainly being the voice back to the board with that. They do meet on a monthly basis, and a pretty integral part of what our board is to do, certainly around policy. So I'll take nominations for policy chair. Trustee Rowland?
I'd like to nominate Lorraine Boytson.
I'll take nominations for the policy chair. I don't think that your name's down here, Don, but I'll nominate Trustee Nickel.
I'll accept.
Any other nominations for policy chair? Any other nominations for policy chair? And any other nominations for policy chair? So we'll close the policy chair. So we have two people running, Trustee Boytson and Trustee Nickel. Please, as the ballots come out, you need to put one of their names down. So the vote's in for policy chair. Congratulations, Trustee Boytson, you're the new chair of the policy committee.
Thank you.
And thanks, Trustee Nickel, for letting your name stand. Yes. So who's the one that said we wouldn't do that, and I'm the first one that it happens to, so that's easy. So we're on 6.5. We now have looking for 3 members of our Finance and Audit Committee. So besides Trustee Rowland, we're looking for 3 members to sit on the committee with Trustee Rowland. So I'm now going to take nominations for that committee. Trustee Rowland?
I'd like to nominate Don Nickel.
I accept.
Trustee Nickel, do you accept? Thank you. Other nominations, Trustee Boytson?
I'd like to nominate Trustee Reed.
Trustee Reed, do you accept? Trustee Reed accepts. Others? Trustee Harris?
I'd like to nominate Melissa Rowan.
Trustee Rowan, do you accept?
I do, thank you.
Other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Dustin Dent.
Trustee Dent, do you accept?
I do, thank you.
Other nominations? Other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, so our nominations are going to close. So there are 4 people running and there are 3 people you need 3 names. It's either Trustee Nickel, Trustee Reed, Trustee Rowan, and Trustee Dent would be the 3 names. Sorry, the 4 names. I got that right?
Sorry.
So it's Trustee Nickel, Trustee Rowan,
My name, I don't know the name. Sorry.
Trustee Nickel, Trustee Reed, Trustee Rowan, or Trustee Dent. Of those 4, you need to choose 3 names. Any confusion on that from anyone? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote. So congratulations to Trustee Nickel, Trustee Rowan, and Trustee Dent for being our three members of our Finance Committee.
Thank you.
Our next committee is our three members of our Policy Committee. And again, working with Trustee Boytson, reviewing policy, and really that's the work of the board. If we want to go ahead and make any kind of changes, it's the Policy Committee that brings information through to the board, and working with Superintendent Timko. So I'll take nominations. We're looking for 3 people, nominations for our Policy Committee. Trustee Nickel?
I'll nominate Russ Reed.
Trustee Reed, do you accept? Trustee Dent?
I'll nominate Trustee Smith.
Trustee Smith, do you accept?
I do.
Trustee Smith?
Nominate Trustee Dent.
Trustee Dent, do you accept?
I will.
Other nominations? Trustee Rowan?
I'd like to nominate Trustee Melissa Rowan.
Trustee Rowan, do you accept?
I do, thank you.
Any other nominations? Trustee Harris?
I would like to nominate Trustee Nickel.
Trustee Nickel?
I'll accept.
You'll accept? Any other nominations? I saw down on here that potentially there was, I'm going to nominate as Trustee Boytson. There we go. Pay attention. Yeah. Anyone else? There's 5. Any other nominations? There's Trustee Reed, there is Trustee Smith, there is Trustee Dent, there is Trustee Rowan, and there is Trustee Nickel. There are 5. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Okay, nominations are closed, so you need to choose 3 from the 5. I'll read them again. Trustee Reed, Trustee Smith, Trustee Dent, Trustee Rowan, and Trustee Nickel. So thank you and congratulations to Trustee Nickel, Trustee Smith, and Trustee Reed. You'll be the people on our policy committee joining Trustee Boytson. So that's Trustee Nickel, Trustee Smith, and Trustee Reed. Thank you for that. So we have one last position to choose, and it is, we have a liaison with the Sunrise Teachers Association. Basically, we have 3 people from the division and 3 people from the teachers union that they get together, and one of those 3 people is a trustee. So we are looking for one trustee to sit on the Sunrise Teachers Association liaison. Any questions about that before we start? Okay, so I need to, so I'm going to open up nominations for the Sunrise Teachers Association liaison. Trustee Nickel?
I'll nominate Trustee Smith.
Trustee Smith?
I accept.
Any other nominations? Trustee Reed? Trustee Rowland, do you accept?
Yes, I will.
Any other nominations? Trustee Rowan?
I'll nominate Trustee Dent.
Trustee Dent, do you accept?
I'll graciously decline, thank you.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, our nominations are closed. So we have a choice between Trustee Smith and Trustee Rowland. I'm going to have to be very careful about how I pronounce Rowland and Rowin. All right, I'll work on that. I'll work on that. Yeah. Someone beside me just saying, I'm going to be calling you Diane and Melissa here in a minute. Thank you. And our STA liaison trustee is Trustee Rowland. Thank you very much, Trustee Rowland, and thanks to Trustee Smith. So congratulations and thank you to everybody about getting on committees. I think that for the most part, everybody is on a committee. That's great to go ahead and see. Thank you to Trustee Harris for taking on the role as Vice Chair, and to Trustee Boytson and to Trustee Rowland for taking on the chairs of those, of one of Finance and one of Policy. And to everybody that's joined those committees. Those are very important committees for us that, again, we'll continue to work throughout the year. So thanks very much for going ahead and doing that. And of course, we can't say that without saying is that our relationship with our Sunrise Teachers Association is critical. And so it's great to go ahead and have Trustee Rowland representing us with the superintendent to meet with the STA. So thanks for going ahead and doing that. So 7.1 is our negotiations committee, and what happens, of course people are aware that we're bargaining provincially with our Teachers Association, but we still have CUPE collective agreements that we go ahead and negotiate. And we will, at each time there is a committee, the need for us to go ahead, we'll come back to this group and decide who our chairperson is and who will represent us on our negotiations committee. So at this time, we're not going to go ahead and appoint a negotiations committee until that said time when we need to go ahead and do that. And we'll need a chair and we'll need people to sit on that committee. 8.0 talks about our committee appointments. So to the Bossier Broken Head Recreation Commission, we look to the two people from that area, Trustee Harris and who's the other? Trustee Smith. So that's something that you guys need to work out amongst yourselves and see about. Do we need someone to appoint someone?
So the Rec Commission in Broken Head would like to have one person for a one-year term so that they have some consistency. So whether that's tonight or whether that's the two of you to chat that out, they would just like to know who their rep is.
All right, Alicia. Okay, so Alicia, thanks for going ahead and doing that. Edgewater Recreation, that's in my area, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. The Winnipeg River Recreation is in your area, Russ, right? The Winnipeg River Recreation, that's in Lac-du-Bonnie. So you would be involved with that. We have the age-friendly Bossier and Broken Head. Kath, you want to talk a little bit about the age-friendly?
I believe this is a committee that is no longer meeting, so I don't think we need anybody at that one.
So if we ever need anybody for the age-friendly Bossier and Broken Head, we'll get together as a group and decide that. The Winnipeg River Learning Center. Kath? I think that we'll hold on that as well. Springfield Parents for Performing Arts. Is that still a committee that meets? So it is a committee that meets. Again, there are a number of you from the Springfield area. Is there anyone that is very interested in going ahead and representing us on the Springfield Performing Arts?
I will.
Okay, Trustee Dent is good. Is there anybody else that's burning that says that we want to go ahead and have an election on it? Or are we good about going ahead and having Trustee Dent? Right. You good with that? Who else is there? You're good with that? All right, Trustee Dent, you're our Springfield Parents for Performing Arts. Thank you. And the Springfield Music Association. This is different than the other one? Okay. The Springfield Music Association. We need a trustee for the Springfield Music Association. Anyone? Anything jump out at them from the Springfield? Listen, I want to keep doing that. I'm not going to read out, but we have representatives for local parent councils. And I think that when you're together, certainly I guess in the Oak Bank area, again, I would encourage as many of the trustees from that area to get to be there. And again, some of them aren't on here because we do have some colony schools that have representation and going ahead and doing that. So trustees that represent local parent councils, we know trustee, do I have to read this out? Okay. So you're just attending your parent councils, and if you cannot attend your parent councils and you're never going to be able to do that for some reason, please let us know. And it means then that someone else, we would love to have a trustee go to parent councils. So if you could never attend it because it's on the same night or whatever, let us know and we'll figure out how to get a trustee representation at the parent councils. Any questions on that from anyone? Trustee Nicol?
So what happens when your ward encompasses 3 schools? Like for instance, my ward encompasses Lactaboni, Whitemouth, and the White Shell. So do I go to all 3?
Have you ever gone to all 3?
No, because the ward has been changed slightly.
Okay, so my understanding is for the most part, the 2 Lactaboni schools, the trustee Reed's gone to the 2 Lactaboni schools. You've gone to the Whitemouth school and then the Whiteshell Colony. And again, if people are, again, I think more people getting out to schools is a great idea to go ahead and do that. But again, those would be the areas where people, so it doesn't mean that if I don't want to, if I want to make the trip to Enola, can I go to an Enola Parent Council? Again, parent councils aren't really closed. People can go to it. I haven't been to an Enola Parent Council, by the way. But again, I think that if people want to go, you have the ability to go. Trustee Reed?
Yeah, I can go to Centennial Group. Last year, they were doing it on a Tuesday, which of course conflicted with this. And this year, though, they've changed it to Wednesday, so I'll be able to go to that one. And as far as I know, so far, nothing has been organized at the high school.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions? Comments? Okay. So that's our trustee representation at our local parent councils. 10.1 talks about destruction of ballots. Be it resolved, the board approved to destroy the ballots. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Nicol, seconded by trustee Rowan. Any questions to that? Hearing none, we'll vote. We have to do this by hand, so I'll just go around the table. Trustee Dent, you good with that? Trustee Rowan, you good with that? Trustee Reed, you good with that? Trustee Rowan, you good with that? Trustee Boytson, Trustee Nicol, Trustee Smith, Trustee Harris, and Trustee Mangio. So it's a 9-0 vote. Thank you for that. So we have an adjournment, and we will get into regular in 2-3 minutes. So thank you, everybody, for taking part in that. Appreciate it.
test, test, and then
Okay, I'm going to get us underway here. Can we make sure that we join the meeting for any of the trustees that have not joined the meeting? Join the regular meeting for us. And as soon as Stacy gives me the nod, we'll be ready to go. Okay, I'm going to call our meeting to order and welcome to the Sunrise School Division. Regular board meeting for November the 1st. This is our first regular board meeting, and welcome to certainly our new trustees and our experienced trustees that have been around with us. What I would like to do before we call our meeting, well, I'll call our meeting to order, and even before we adopt our agenda, I would like to have us go around the room and introduce ourselves at our first meeting and go from there. And yeah, let's try to go ahead and do that. So my name's Paul Magna. I'm representing Ward 7, and I'm the new chair for the school division. Mr. Harris.
I'm Robin Harris. I'm trustee for Ward 6, the Brokenhead area. And I'm glad to be here. Welcome, everyone. And I'm vice chair.
Hi, I'm Trustee Smith. I'm for Ward 5 in Beausejour. I'm on the policy committee.
I'm Don Nickel from Ward 1, that's White Mouth Meadows area, and White Shell Colony.
Lorraine Boydson, trustee for Ward 2, and it's Hazel Ridge, Anola, and 3 Colony Schools.
I'm Melissa Rowan. I am from Ward 4 from the Oakbank area, and I'm sitting on the finance committee.
Russ Reed from Ward 8, which is Lactobonian area.
I'm Diane Rowland from Ward 3, Dugald, and happy to be chair of the Finance Committee this year and STA liaison.
Hello everybody, I'm Dustin Dent. I am the trustee for Ward 4, which is the Oakbank area.
Good evening, Laura Spielberg, Assistant Superintendent of Learning and Student Services.
Good evening, I'm Jody Thiessen, the Secretary Treasurer.
I'm Kathy Timko, the superintendent. And I'm Stacy Bonato, Executive Assistant to the board and to Jody.
And for the million people that are watching online, we do have some people here in person. We have the SDA President, Serena Kloss. Welcome, Serena. And we have Andrea Zieski from the finance staff at the school division. And as well, we have presenters here with us from Dugald School. We have Principal Chris Gatspertzi. Did I do that all right? Yeah, and Angela Ward. So certainly welcome to everybody that's here. We appreciate it. So we have the adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved that the board approve the agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Rowan, seconded by Trustee Boytson. Any questions of the agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 9-0. Thank you for that. Chair's comments, so please send all your questions to jody.thiessen@sunrisesd.ca. The name and address of the sender must be included in the email, and at the end of the agenda, we will try to answer as many of the questions that we can. Here's an opportunity for us to go ahead and share a story, and trustees, I would encourage you every opportunity to go ahead and share a story, something about your school or something that's happened. And the short story that I want to share, it's our first meeting with our 4 new trustees. One's not so new, Trustee Boyton, she's back with us representing the Inaugural area. But Trustee Smith, Trustee Rowan, and Trustee Dent, welcome certainly to our team. We're glad to have you on board. And yeah, we got 4 years, so we'll get right at her, so congratulations. Anybody want to share a story in the last little while about schools or whatever? The floor is open. Share a story. Trustee Nicol?
Whitemouth School had Spirit Week this week, so I was there on Monday, and of course Monday was Halloween, so their theme that day was Halloween. Yesterday was Color Day. Today I think is Don't Bring a Pack Back to School. They got everything planned for the whole week, so I'm intending to go there tomorrow to see what's going to be happening.
Thanks, Trustee Nicol. Anyone else? Trustee Rowan?
Last week I had the opportunity to help Oakbank Elementary School with their new playground build. All of the pieces are now up there. They had to wait a few days to put the moving parts in because the cement was still setting, but everything's up and operational now, and the kids were able to play on it as of Monday.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hats go off to teachers on 2 days of the year. Halloween and the day after Halloween. So do you know what, to all the teachers that are out there and to you guys in here, you know what, I remember too well what the day Halloween was, and I was at Parvey School, and I saw the Parvey School parade of kindergarten to grade 12 kids with costumes, and it was awesome. It was a great afternoon, but was the energy here? It sure was. And I'm sure that today was the energy here for a different reason? Absolutely it was. And I'm sure you guys are going to share that with us shortly. But kudos to the teachers, and it's great to see kids back in the school excited and doing those kind of things, because it's been too long that we haven't done some of those things. So that's great. I think everyone's tired about it, but it's really good to see for sure. Anyone else? Comments? Did you want to say? Okay. We'll move on to delegation. So Superintendent Timko, I'll let you introduce our delegation.
Thank you. So we have Chris and Angela here from École Dugald School, and they are our first school who gets the pleasure of presenting to you guys as a new board. So I will do a quick little highlighter as to what you will see in presentations from schools and what you might see from operational presentations. So we do alternate, and we have some schools who come to present to you, and then we have some operational departments who present to you, and they give you kind of an overview and a highlight. So these guys are going to talk to you about their school plan, and they're going to focus in on specifically their school plan. They'll probably squeeze a couple of extras in there because I saw the end of the PowerPoint. But essentially they're going to come talk to you about that one goal or two goals that they're working on and be really, really focused on what that goal is. That does not in any sense of being mean that they are not doing 5 billion things at the school, because that's what teachers do As Paul mentioned, there's a lot of things that are on the go at the school, but they are here to talk to you about the work that they're doing specifically with their school goal. So Chris and Angela have survived the day after Halloween, and they've come to join us at 8:25. So we will give you our utmost attention on your presentation. Thanks. I will be your Vanna White and share your PowerPoint up here.
Does that mean we're on? Is that that's good. Okay. Normally I stand up and talk, so this is going to be hard for me to just sit in a spot. Well, thank you. My name is Chris Gusberti, and this is
Angela Ward.
You can present yourself. And, you know, it is, and thanks so much for having us. And congratulations to the new trustees. It's great to have new faces and to have new people to work with. And we thank you for the opportunity to come and present, even though it is day after Halloween, and it's been a busy couple of days, but it is nice. And we've been given a 10-minute kind of presentation time. Good luck with that, with me. I'll try and be quick, okay? And that's the honest truth. I do like to talk. I do love École Douglas School, just like Angela. So we do have a lot to talk about. Some of the things, like Kathy said, school goals. So some of it is what we work on as a building and so on. So we'll try and get some of that information in, and then hopefully people have questions, and we have some things to show, just to kind of bring everybody on board of what we're really focusing on at school. So École Douglas School, I'm sure everybody before today's meeting went on our website, checked out everything we do, checked out our credentials. So we are a dual track school. We are French immersion and English program built into one building. So we are K-8. We are a growing school at 500, getting phone calls every day on enrollment, which everybody probably knows. Lots of construction going up around Dugald, lots of movement in the area, which is great. Lots of people wanting to move outside the city, so we get that benefit. And I say growing because we are already in the works of getting another portable classroom added to the school, because we are a growing population and we will need that space. So already in January, hopefully before the end of beginning of next school year, we'll have another portable on the school to be able to have more students and more spaces. So it's great. It's great to know that we're being looked at, and there's a kind of a vision forward, I would say. So what I want to start with today is chat a little bit about our last year's goal. We didn't really get an opportunity to come present to the board last year, because I know there's lots of schools, but I feel like the information from last year's goal does support this year's goal, which Angela is going to talk about after. So our last year's goal was by June 30th, 2022, all students will improve in their problem-solving abilities using the productive struggle framework. Now, that's something that we really feel passionate about at our school, and I want to give a little bit more information on not only what productive struggle is, but how we came up with this goal. So as a school, think we're in COVID, okay? So we were a couple years back, we're in COVID, and what's happening here? So we did some surveys of students. What do you feel is a good student? How do you feel success? And we really built off the students and what they thought a positive piece to school was. So we got a lot of answers from students. Oh, what's a good student? Well, smart kids, you know, they're really good, they don't get in trouble, those type of answers, which are normal answers from students. And then, but a lot of their answers were really based around mathematics when we really broke down all the data. So then we went a little bit deeper with students, and we said to students, okay, well, if you're talking about mathematics, what makes a good math student? Like, and this is K-8, so this is a pretty wide variety of students. Smart, they can do the questions fast, they like math, they get the right answer really quickly. And then we thought, okay, well, if the students' information around being a good student is based on math, and we're seeing that, now can we go to teachers and talk to the teachers? What do you think? This is what the students are giving us. What do we think as educators around the math topic? So then we asked the question to teachers, and we got a lot of information from teachers saying, okay, well, the students are having trouble taking risks. They don't want to be wrong, so sometimes they don't jump into questions. They compare themselves to others. And me being a 13-year math educator back in the day, it was, well, my parents aren't good at math, so it's okay, Mr. Gusberti. It's okay, my parents weren't good, so I don't need to be good, which is terrible to hear. So we thought, what can we do as a school? And the word productive struggle doesn't mean, here's a question, go at her. and just leave the students. And that's what I feel like a lot of people might look at it as, and it's not. It's actually there's a lot of methodology behind productive struggle and how that can not only support mathematics, but in all subjects across the board. So that's sort of where we took our goal. So what we did as a staff, we did a lot of work on this book right here. It's Math Productive Struggle, and what that looks like in a classroom to really support students in that struggle. And it's creating a classroom environment that accepts struggle and you really want students to be vulnerable and want to try, and it's okay to not get the right answer and to try and push them to move forward. So that's how we built our goal a year ago, and we found that students needed that after being at home with COVID and had some of those difficulties in the school. So that's how we built our goal. So what we did was we really collaborated as a staff. We fostered the productive struggle in the classroom. We created strategies for the students to be able to struggle in a positive way. And we really felt that supported students in what they needed at that time. So that was our goal, and how can we support students to become better learners as a whole? And we started that goal in mathematics because we knew that it could transpire to other subjects. Struggle is something we all have and we all want to move forward with and we all want to get over. So some of the data, just to give you some ideas, is so at the beginning of our journey, we had tasks that the class had to do, and 58% of students could struggle through the task for an extended period of time. Now, some people may say 58%, that's not bad, like that's not terrible as 58%. And when I look at this, I'm going to break it down just so we get a feeling. If I'm a classroom teacher standing in front of a class of 24 students, 58% means that 10 students are putting their hand up asking for help within 1 to 3 minutes. Okay, so what does that look like as a teacher? Now it's like, okay, I need to try and work with all these students that are struggling. So to build that capacity to be able to have strategies to be able to struggle in a positive way, or to go into different strategies to be able to support them with the questions or the task at hand. And then at the end, when we did our final assessment, we were up to 80 to 88% as a value, which then brings us to about 20 out of 24 students who are able to struggle and work through problems, which then only had 4 students who were maybe struggled that needed that one-on-one, or hey, come over here as a group of 4 and we can support that. So can we get better? 88%, some people are like, oh, that's not that great. That's pretty good when you come from a 58% model in the beginning. So we still want to build on this goal because we feel we can do better, but we feel like we've made a lot of progress. And that's why we're moving into our goal for this year, which I'm going to pass over to Angela, which is the next step of struggle and how we can then support students in the mathematics curriculum.
So like Chris said, we are building in our numeracy goal, and this is our main focus in our school right now. And Chris started the initiative last year in December by ordering these math toolkits. You can see them here and then on the screen as well. And they're geared, there's a K math kit, there's a 1-2 math kit, a 3-5, and then a 6-8. And what's neat to see too is that the teachers are taking their own creative approach and taking the toolkits and then using them in ways that are effective for their classroom and for their students. So this is a kindergarten toolkit that comes in a bag like this, and then the teachers have taken it and applied them like this. So we believe, though, that effective math teaching and learning engages students and allows for multiple entry points and a varied solution for strategies, and it promotes that mathematical reasoning and problem solving. And the use of manipulatives and a hands-on approach allows learners to see, touch, and manipulate objects while learning. If we look at the curriculum connections for this, right in the curriculum it says that students need to be, for most of the curriculum outcomes in math, K-8 foundation documents, they should be building and with concretely first, then pictorially, and then go to the abstract. It allows for students to not just rely on rote memorization, it allows them to actually build and manipulate the objects in their hands. And what we're hoping for to see is that by the end, by June, that students are independently accessing their toolkits to help support their numeracy learning in classrooms. So when we look, so this is some pictures that I just took this year in our school, and teachers weren't expecting me to be coming around. So even within the first couple of months of school, we can see this is a grade 1 classroom, and they're looking at patterning. There's an A-A-B pattern that they're using with the colored blocks, but then another child right across the table is using snap cues
snap cubes to do that as well. The book that you see here, the math tasks with snap cubes, we have them here as well. All teachers have these in our building right now. And what's neat about these books is that they connect directly to the toolkit. So if there's teachers that are wondering how to implement certain activities, they can go to these books, and there's a clear practice on how to implement them in their classrooms with activities. And there's even questioning to enhance and continue learning and extend that learning for those fast finishers that we have in our classrooms. And there's some more uses of the pattern. There's pattern blocks, or sorry, base 10 blocks at the bottom. So that's a grade 4 or 5 classroom, and they're learning how to do some multiplication. So again, they're building it first using the pattern blocks in the hundreds chart or the grid chart. Then they're going to and drawing it, and then they're going to go to the abstract. So again, it's following that curriculum guide of building, then drawing the pictorial, and then moving to the abstract. So for the evidence of progress, we're going to start by using these math task books in our PLC groups. So we meet together once a cycle in our PLC groups as teachers. Yes. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
True.
I'm so sorry. Professional learning communities. So we have groups of teachers that are coming together. For example, I'm with a grade 4 or 5 group where I lead my teachers every day 4. We meet together and we discuss numeracy, literacy, and mental health. So our school goals that Chris and I will elaborate on a little bit further in our presentation. But what we're going to do is we meet in our PLC groups, and we're going to use these books to help us with our baseline data. So we're going to, right now, we're currently going to determine an activity from one of these books. We're going to implement the activity in all 4 or 5 classrooms, and this will be from K to 8. We'll implement a task. We'll collect the data. Then we're going to pick 6 samples of work. We'll pick 2 from the low range, 2 medium, and 2 high. And then we're going to do the exact same task in May. We'll come back to it. And again, this will be independent. This will not be teacher assisted. They'll be seeing what the students can do. And what we're hoping to see is that students will be more independent in accessing their math toolkits, how they see fit. Because we also realize that in math, there's different pathways of getting to the solution. So how one child comes to that solution might be very different from another student. So by accessing these toolkits, they're taking ownership of their learning, and they're saying what they need to be in order to get to that answer and to feel successful in math. One of the beautiful things of these math toolkits is, like Chris was saying before, oh, if I can't do math, there's a lot of anxiety around math learning. And these toolkits, because every student has them in our school, it alleviates some of that anxiety of, oh, I need something to go to help me learn math. I need a tactile object to help me learn and get there. Because every student has it, and because we are accepting of this differentiated learning approach, it allows students to have that ability to access it without feeling like they're being looked at when they go and access it, because they're accessible for all students. We're going to be collecting the data in 3 ways: observations, conversations, and products. When I look around, when I'm going around in classrooms, I see a lot of the teachers actually having more of those observations and conversations with their students in math class. They have checklists going where it's more about the conversations that they're having. They're taking pictures of student work. They're taking pictures of students in the moment, building those things and moving to the pictorial. So that is how we are collecting our data. And then again, we will reevaluate in May. We'll take those same 6 students and we'll compare the data. We'll look at November's assessment, we'll compare it to May's assessment, and then we'll chat in our PLC groupings to see, was this productive? Did this make a difference? Did the toolkits help? And are students using them independently?
No, that's great. And the other piece, I'll keep talking about something else before I go there. And the other piece with the toolkit, I'm going to give you an example, which is really cool. And I was in the classroom the other day, and a teacher said, you got to come see this. And it was a grade 2-3 classroom, and they were working with the toolkit. So they had units, dizaines and centaines. What's units? What's the dizaine in English? Tens, and then hundreds, sorry. And I walked in the classroom, and she said, yeah, we did this. We did this with the tactile kits, and what the kids were doing, they were building birdhouses. And what the teacher had done is taken the tactile pieces from the kits, created pebbles for the units, popsicle sticks for the 10s, and then had cups for the 100s. And she linked it to not only something realistic in real life, and then they were building something on a different level, and then they're integrating science into it. So I was like, holy, this is amazing to see. And I'm snapping pictures, and the kids, I'm walking around, the kids are explaining to me, and it was just so great to see that it wasn't just a math class. We took it, we utilized what we had, and we brought it into other, and then we cross-curricular, took a lot of different subjects, and it was just so great to see. And I'm not going to tell you what teacher, and it was just a great thing to see that teachers are taking these kits and really, really shining with them and showing the students that there's so many different opportunities for learning in mathematics and in all the other subjects. It was just great to see. Sorry. Yeah. So we have our school goal is the numeracy piece that we just talked about. We do have school priorities. We don't let the literacy piece, we don't let the mental health piece, we don't let the other things fall behind. So we are always working towards of these priorities. And we call them priorities. I used to call them goals, but then I was told you shouldn't say goal because it's a priority. It's still a school priority. So we are very lucky at Dugald. We do run our PLC, our professional learning communities, on a 6-day cycle. So we are able to meet once every 6 days to really work on our school goals, which I feel we are very lucky to have that opportunity because we can gain traction in our work. Probably at 10 minutes, right, Kathy? Is that why you're... Yeah. Okay. So what we're able to do is we work in numeracy, we're able to work in literacy, we're able to work in mental health as well into our PLC time, which we feel are priorities that we need to utilize. So I'm not going to talk a ton. We do use the Jan Richardson Next Step in guided reading. We feel like coming back from COVID, we really need to get back into groupings and grouping students the right way, having them work independently while students are working in groups with the teachers. So this is one of the resources, the Jan Richardson, that we really do want to use in our schools and that we are using ongoing. You can flip to the next one.
Yep. We're also looking at active learning and social responsibility in our school too as another school priority. So some things that we do in Dugald, which I think are really cool that I wanted to showcase, is we really focus on mindfulness. Every morning on the announcements, it's student-led. They do a mindful moment every morning, and I feel like it sets the tone for the school day every day. It kind of sets students on the right track. We take a moment, and it's all student-led too because the students are the ones leading the announcements in the morning, which I think is very valuable. We're also moving towards a mindful movement break as well, where students are encouraged with the direction of their teacher to get up and walk outside for a mindful movement break instead. We focus still on the zones of regulation. It's language that we use consistently throughout the school from K to 8, even in grade 6, 7, and 8 as well. I feel like it really helps to kind of, and teachers are modeling it too, right? Day after Halloween, teachers are modeling, are you in the yellow zone? Are you in the green zone? Which zone are you in and how does it connect? I think it's important for teachers to be modeling that as well. We also had Chris brought in to start our wellness kickoff with staff, Chris Scholl, we did some drumming on one of our first PD days. And something that resonated with me when we did this drumming activity, and I know that Chris did it with the whole staff and students last year, but what resonated with me when we had this was that the presenter had said that we all have our own rhythm, but when we come together, we create this song. And I felt like it was such a beautiful representation of what a school is. We all have our creative pieces as teachers, but we come together and we really see the students shine and the students excel. We're also going to be focusing on our behavior matrix and bringing that back, and I know Chris is going to talk really quick about our mental health day number 2 in the works.
Yeah, so many years ago, we had a mental health day at our school, and our second mental health day was the year that we were closed down for COVID, so we weren't able to do number 2. But number 2 is in the works for this year. So we have our social responsibility, active learning, professional learning community that is starting the process, and it's a big process. We have presenters come in. We have many presenters come in all different avenues. It can be Andrew Dunn Foundation. It can be, jiu-jitsu, because movement. There's lots of different pieces that we have come in, and then the students in the middle years are choosing what interests them from a mindfulness or a mental health type of day. And then what we did in the past, the younger students, they did more class activities where we have people come in. They did calming jars, where you have sparkles in the jars and you shake it if you need to have something to calm you. So we run that throughout the building. Normally we have a keynote in the morning. We have somebody come in. Hopefully we can get somebody hot off the press, we'll see. And then we normally have a close at the end to have some movement, so whatever that looks like at the end of the day. So be ready for that in your inboxes. I'll throw it out there when that's available, and if anybody wants to come by, I mean, of course, come by and check it out. But it's a great opportunity for students, for community, and for the school to really come together and to promote the well-being of everyone. So that's coming down the pipe very soon. It'll probably be in the springtime. We won't run it in the winter just because of roads and the conditions. Priority number 3, Dugald School has a large percentage of French immersion, so that is still one of our big priorities in the building. Ensure that the immersion program is active and well. We really want to have our students in French immersion and in our English program explore different opportunities in a second language, because we do all take French, even if we're not in the French immersion, so we want that to be inclusive. We have lots of different opportunities. This year we're very lucky. We were able to get some French revitalization grant money. We've applied for another grant through the Manitoba Teachers Society to be able to do some collaboration around L'Approche Intégrée, which is that resource that's right on the board there, which is this resource, which is just to support students in the French language building. So that's something that we're working on as a staff, as well as student services. So that's something that's really great. We've become as vibrant as we can visually in our school. For students to understand and realize that we don't want them to think they're just learning a second language. We want them to feel like they're learning a language with a culture, with other things that go with it. And I think that was one of the big pieces that resonated with me at my professional development this year on my MTSPD day. Was I was at the university, and that was one of the University of St. Boniface, and it was the French workshop. And it was that. We don't want students just to think they're speaking in French. We want them to play in French. We want them to laugh in French. We want them to get in trouble in French. Like, that's what we want them to feel. It's not just, oh, I can speak another language and my parents think I'm going to get a better job because I can speak French. That's not the idea. It's that we want them to be a part of that community and culture. So that is one of the big things that we're doing, and I feel like this year as well for our teachers, the division, we're working together to try and get some professional development for our French immersion teachers, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity for everybody to come together to just build that capacity in the school division. So yeah, I have lots of examples, but I'm not going to go into those. So our school, we do have a professional development plan. We have lots on the go. We have already talked about our PLCs. We have some of our program leaders coming into our building to support our school goal numeracy. We have Alan Stevenson coming in, doing a mini residency of 5 days, where we have chosen specifically certain teachers who will go into that professional development with Alan and then come back to the PLCs to be able to report back, and then we work as a group. So we feel like that's a great model that we have with Alan. We have Natalie coming in, working with some of our grade 1 to 3 teachers around the Jan Richardson, which has been nice. And really our book studies are around these resources. And I don't want to say a book study, like we're not reading a book. We're really developing our pedagogy around our practice. And the way I look at professional development, and in PLCs especially, is we don't want, or I don't want, it to be more work for teachers. I want it to be beneficial time that we're coming together, working professionally, and coming out with something and supporting one another. So we're really pushing the collaboration piece, the sharing piece. What are you doing in your classroom? What's working? And we really feel that's what's going to be really supporting all the teachers in every PLC. So that's why we invested in these type of things. Like these books that go directly with these kits really give the teachers the opportunity to look at curriculum, look at outcomes, link something directly that they can share with their colleagues. And it's funny because I run the grade 2-3 PLC, and I talk with teachers all the time around, and we collaborate about what you're doing in the classroom. Did it work? How did it not go? Or did it go well or not well? It's funny because the teachers say, and I say as well, just because it didn't go well once doesn't mean it's not going to go well again. Right? Try it again. Get somebody else in the group to try it out, because that's really how we look at building on our own practice. So it's just been a great opportunity. The other thing that we're going to be implementing that's really not on this list is the new Indigenous document. the Mama to Wissam document that we're really looking forward to talking about. We have our counselor, Carrie Smith. She's doing the professional development with the province, and she's reporting back to us, and we're going to take some time on our PD days to really talk about that and dive deep into that, that new document, as well as our Indigenous IAA committee, which we do outside of the building. We do talk about that document as well. Sorry, Ms. Kimco, I'm taking a long time.
So this is an example of Alan Stevenson coming to our school. This is the first of the 5 visits that he is coming to our school. Our next visit is in January. And this is just an example of what it looks like, and I just wanted to briefly describe to you what it looks like. So in the morning, he meets with our group of teachers from K to 3, and then in the afternoon, he would meet with the 4 to 8 teachers. He meets with them, they discuss the plan of what they're going to do, then they go into one of the teachers' classrooms and actually implement and model the lesson so that you can see it in action and the teachers can see it in action. Then they come back together as a group and they debrief about how the lesson went, ask questions, reflect. But I think it's important that they see it happening with their students, because then it helps them to start implementing these activities in their classroom as well. And then so he's coming back in January, and they will meet 5 times throughout the year. They have homework that they have to do in between to make sure that we are on task and that we are heading in the right direction. And as you can see, the students are having a great time. They're engaged. I always love seeing students very engaged, especially when it's in numeracy, because that always seems to be one of those subject areas where students maybe potentially lack that confidence, and you can see that they're eager, and I like that teachers get to see that with their classrooms. So there's a grade 1 classroom in the bottom, and then a grade 7 or 6 classroom in the top 2 corners.
Oh, this is the money one. Paul, I know you're going to like this one. So really, our school is very fortunate. We are very fortunate to have money allocated to be able to really work with our teachers around our school goals. And we really wanted to invest in something that we felt would have the greatest impact on students. And so these kits aren't cheap. They're not. They're $25 each, at tax, at shipping. I mean, you're looking at huge amounts of dollars in a school of 500 students or more. Resources that come with those kits, very costly. You know, you're looking at, to outfit a class, a staff at our school, you're probably looking at $8,000 to $10,000 in resources just to support the kits. And now, do you need the resources to go with the kits? No. But then I think the value becomes much more on the teacher. So we want to collaborate as a group, and we feel like the books give the teacher that next level to be able to really implement what we've invested in, and we feel like that's important. Literacy level kits for the classroom, those are things that we're looking at always. French language support in classrooms. Now, resources in French immersion, there are less, and they are more expensive when you do find them. So those are things that we like to really look into. Some of our resources, the teachers are saying, you know, some of them are dated, so we're trying to revamp some of our resources that are a little bit dated from over time. We do utilize some of the money for team leaders. I feel like building capacity in a school is very important, and we have a lot of great teachers, a lot of great leaders in our building, and why wouldn't we put them in charge to really drive our school goal and to have good collaboration with the teachers that they work with every day. So we do invest in team leaders in our building. This year we only invested in 3, because myself and Angela took on a leadership role in those PLC groups, in 2 of the 5. But you know what, that's something that we thought we would do this year, and maybe we build capacity in a different way and bring somebody else in the future. Also SBDM, you know, team leaders for myself and for Angela and Dougal would be French immersion. It's an important piece, is Indigenous curriculum important in our building. So utilizing those dollars to really have people who are the leaders in that, because that is how we build capacity in the building. Everybody, we can't do everything. We need to make sure people are really on board with us, and that's what we love. We love working with the staff and the teachers who really want to be leaders. Books for the classroom. What I've been doing, some of our money too is on a cyclical basis, is French immersion resources in the classroom, building that high interest level books in French. So students really want to pick up a book in French. And it's not just the book in English that they're picking up, and as well our English libraries, putting those high-level books and high-interest books in the classroom so that kids are really engaged to want to pick up a book and read. A few bigger goals, I would say, technology pods in the classroom, outdoor equipment is a long-term plan, and mathologie, that's mathology in English, that's a French math program that we've been piloting, myself and one of our 2-3 teachers. She borrowed it from the DREF, which is our French resource department, just to try it out, see what it looks like. It's an amazing program. It's very hard to come by programs in French that are really well done for curriculum. So that's something that we're piloting right now and looking at, and I have a teacher that's really engaged in that, and she's looking into that. But those are high dollar values. Those are, 5 classroom outfits is $8,000. Like, those are big tickets that we have to look long term for. And even the technology pods, like having little pods in each classroom instead of having big carts, those are utilized in different ways in schools, as well as the big carts, of course, when everybody needs something, but sometimes there's small activities going on, small group work, centers that are happening that you don't need to take a full cart from the school and leave that for classes who need it. When you're up to 25 classrooms, there's a lot of students that want access and teachers who want access to that. So trying to build those into the school on a long-term plan. I think we've talked about everything. What do we need? We just want to continue to create some consistent practices in our building. We want people to be on board with what we're looking at. We want to collaborate as a team. We want to continue to work with our program leaders. I feel like we have a good connection with our program leaders. They really do like coming in and working with our students, especially when we can tailor it directly to our school goal. And I think that's really powerful. Having somebody come in who has different ideas and new ideas and fresh things that maybe teachers just don't have the time to sit there for hours and look for. So those are great opportunities that our teachers have with the program leaders. And keeping parents informed. I really feel that is important. Last year I changed the format of our newsletter, and it's a little more, I feel like I like it. I mean, I wouldn't be sending it out if I didn't like it, but just to keep parents informed and have our staff always submitting to us so that the community is informed on what's happening at Dugald. And hopefully 10% of parents read it. But I really pride on that, and I think it really does showcase what we're doing month to month and how our school is always developing and always evolving. So yeah, that is really what we're hoping for. So those would be our next steps. So I think that's about it. We really appreciate the time. We talked about a lot of things, but we really are passionate about what we do, and sometimes in a quick presentation it's hard to bring that to life, but thank you.
You know what, you can tell that you're passionate, the two of you, so thanks for going ahead and doing that, particularly on November the 1st, after 2 days of joyful working with kids and busy, so thanks very much for coming out and doing this for us. There may be some trustees around the room that are going to have some questions for you. I'm going to give them the opportunities to go ahead and ask. You've said some things that are on there that maybe some of the trustees, if they're new, there are some things and that's why I got you to explain what a PLC was, those kind of things. But anyways, I think that we'll open it up and see what trustees have. Trustee questions? Anyone? So I have some. I'll start. Angela, you talked very quickly about a mindful moment. Can you very quickly tell us what a mindful moment is?
I was trying to be mindful of time, sorry. So our mindful moment every morning, it's led by students on the announcement. And basically, it's students going through breathing, it's closing your eyes, sitting tall, and it's led by the teachers in the classroom. Teachers are not on their computers during this time, they're not prepping, they're in it with the students, they're at the center. We're focused, for an example, it was you're sitting tall like a mountain, your eyes are closed, you're breathing, focusing on breathing, and it kind of sets the tone. It's great even when there are some issues that come to the office, we transition what we're taking in from those mindful moments and we apply them when we have students that come in. let's take some deep breathing. Let's breathe in through our nose, hold that breath, and then release through our mouth. And let's try to practice that mentality when we're going through situations to just calm our body, and then we can proceed to really look at the problem and be ready to approach it that way.
Paul, I'm going to add to that because I think you asked that question last time I presented multiple years ago, and I was the person who came in 13 years in a high school, come into an early years building, mindful moments. What is this? Like, honestly, I was like, what is this? And that is something I will never change. It really does set the tone, and I've really become to love it, and I feel like it just gets everybody set for the day. And yeah, but great explanation. Yeah, well said. But I just had to add that. Yeah, different. Yeah, very different.
Thank you. Any other trustees? Question? Okay, I'll try another one. The school, so you've got what you've, in your presentation, you talk about having school priorities, and they are much like goals, because you're measuring those priorities all the time. Because we're always going to ask, is what you're doing working? And, you know, you're collecting data and going ahead and doing that. So one of the things that it's a new one that you've got out here, you're talking by June 2023, 100% of students will demonstrate improvement in their problem solving, et cetera, will demonstrate improvement. So if I'm a parent, okay, so my kid improved, and I'm an older parent, could be grandparents, and they're coming in and saying, okay, well, is my kid doing grade 3 work? Because has my kid demonstrated improvement? Yes, but that doesn't tell me that he's doing grade 3 work. So how do you answer a parent when in that situation? Because your goal talks about demonstrating improvement, and yeah, you can still get a lot of people demonstrating improvement, but is my kid able to problem solve? And is he, so where's the, I guess my question is, what would the question be back to parents?
I would think that we always are taking students as they are, as they're coming to us, right? So improvement allows for all students to demonstrate that growth, no matter what they're able to show us academically. So when we take the students as they are, we're using these math toolkits to try to hopefully allow them to become independent in their problem solving and reasoning. And I think what's really neat about taking our data, though, is seeing that, and maybe this is something that maybe they demonstrate at our student-led conferences, where they're demonstrating the activity that they've done to their parents, and maybe we're demonstrating that same one later on in the year, so they can, so the parents can see, and the guardians can see, well, what is my child able to do, and how are they communicating it? Mathematical discourse and how they're communicating their math and their reasoning is super important. That's demonstrating their knowledge and understanding of the topic as well. So having those conversations, maybe at student-led at conferences, is going to be very valuable and meaningful. And again, taking those students as they are with us, as they come to us, and improving them along the way. I hope that helps to answer your question.
Thank you. Anyone else? Trustee Rowland?
I just wanted to clarify. I think you had mentioned that you said every child has a math kit, but like, to what grade are we talking here? So the grade 8's math kit, what would that resemble compared to the pieces we were shown on these pictures? Yeah.
So, no, they do. Yeah, the toolkit does evolve. So the kindergarten toolkit is much smaller, and then it moves up, and it does evolve. So the difference between one toolkit to the next may not be huge, but one may have money in it because that's part of curricular, and one may not. But it does evolve all the way up, and they are like it's tactile pieces because we want the students to be able to demonstrate what they're learning with what they feel is important to them. So one student that picks up a snap cube may use a tile or may use something different to be able to display their learning. We want to give them that opportunity. So they do have kits right up to grade 8, and there are slight differences, but there are some similarities through the kits. Yeah.
I was also in a grade 7-8 classroom just the other day, and I saw them accessing the toolkit in playing games. Right, so they're using it in different ways, but they're still accessing the toolkit, but just the level of difficulty increases as well because of the game that they were playing, but they were accessing the toolkits because I wanted to see what that looked like too, coming from an early year school and wanting to see how is it being accessed in our grade 6 to 8 classrooms as well.
Thank you. Trustee Nickel.
I just want to know if I want to visit your school, how much notice do you need? If I want to visit your school, how much notice do you need? How much notice?
Anytime. How much notice? The morning of. As long as I'm in the building, as long as one of us is there. Sorry. You let us know, you come on by.
Okay.
All right.
Trustee Nichols, a retired math teacher from Whitemouth. And when all of a sudden you came in and started talking about math, you know, he kind of, you know, was getting pretty excited. So no, and he would be very interested in coming and listening. I think Trustee Harris, go ahead.
When Paul picked on Angela earlier first, the expression on your face was priceless. It's too bad it wasn't on camera. My question though, one of the first things you mentioned is you're getting a hut in January. Until then, how are you fitting the students in your building?
We do have the space right now for our students. So the projected numbers, because of all the construction, the projected numbers for next year are going to increase. So that's the reason for it. So that's why I said I'm just grateful that there's the future planning piece and we're not jamming kids wherever we can find them when we need the space in coming. So I'm really grateful to the province for that forward look and Jody, who's kind of spearheaded that for us. Yeah.
I just want to clarify for people here because I'm worried that there's a danger that manipulators might be misunderstood. And in talking with Alan and provincial context everywhere, there are lots of examples where kids aren't able to show something concretely, and that's actually a missing skill. So these are not to support the weaker learners. That's not what it is. It's a fundamental aspect of being good at math, and they're probably underutilized at a lot of grades. Like, it would be awesome if in grade 9 or 10 or 11 they were using hands-on stuff. It's good learning.
So,
sorry, I too had a question. I just want to dovetail to what Trustee Harris was saying about the huts. So you're getting another portable. What does that do for your common spaces? So like your libraries, your NPR rooms, it means like there's an influx of students that those spaces aren't expanding. Are those sufficient at this time, or are you feeling that you're kind of at capacity? I know you have a nice big gym. How does that look for you guys?
You know, I think when I came to Dougald 6 years ago, we were packed, and then the addition came, so then we were able to breathe. So I feel like when I came to Dougald and where we are now, we do have some space. So those extra spaces that we can utilize are just I feel like they're just an added bonus to our school. And if we didn't have them, we would make do, but I feel like we're just lucky to have those extra spaces to be able to, you know, do different activities, have different things running. Yeah, to lose those spaces would be difficult, but I feel like being there for 6 years, I feel like we're at a better space than we were 6 years ago. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but yeah, I feel like we're doing okay for space right now, especially with that next step coming in from the province. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got it. I think it was just about, like, I get that it adds extra homeroom classes, but I just wasn't sure, you know, with the infusion of extra students, if those spaces were still sufficient in size. But now just a comment, thank you very much for sharing your passion. My kids love the mindful movement part, so they're doing that, so very good. And I'm one of the 10% that read the newsletter. I think it's fantastic. I noticed the difference in formatting, so thanks.
Any others before I ask one last question? Okay. So now you have 9 trustees in front of you, the superintendent, secretary, treasurer, and it's not long before this group now moves into budget time. So now you have the ears and you have 2 minutes. you have the years as to what do you need to keep, what's something that's real important, as these 9 people are going to make decisions on dollars and cents over the next little while, what's important to you?
Oh boy. I feel like one of the things that I don't want to, I'll bring up, but maybe it's a bigger conversation as well, is French immersion teachers are difficult to acquire. And I feel like what's happening in other divisions is, yes, people are just getting further and further out the gate early, and they're just scooping these teachers up and keeping them in their divisions, offering these open contracts and everything. So, that is something that maybe it could be a discussion of what does that look like, and how can we, is there a possibility to get out of the gate a little bit earlier to be able to scoop those teachers up with certain contracts. And I know it's hard to predict, but maybe that's just one thing that I would bring up.
Be specific. What do you mean?
Can we hire French immersion teachers earlier in the year? In graduating school years, can we hire French immersion teachers on, I would say, permanent contracts to get them into the division, to have them accessible to Dugald, Beausier, Powerview, Ed Schreier, because I feel like it's important to keep the program running and to keep good people in front of the students who the parents have put their kids in French immersion. And it's important to have somebody who has the language in front of them. I feel like that's important. I feel like the continued support from the board, from a student services perspective, I feel like the board supports the division from a student services level to keep that available to schools, because I feel like the more that we can support students, the better. So I feel like if that could continue. One thing I'm going to throw out there, and I haven't talked about it, and I could talk about it for probably 10 minutes in a presentation, is like maybe putting in a discussion about esports into divisional finance. And it is something that Dugald does support and has a lot of students involved with. It is a sport, even though people don't think it's in a gym, but we do have a lot of students involved with that. It creates a lot of collaboration. A lot of students aren't the sporty type, and they do get involved with our esports. And now that, one of our teams on the weekend is now top 8 in Canada, going to the nationals, like, there is a lot of hype, and I feel like that discussion maybe could become a part of the trustees and the budget plan.
Justin, I've never heard of schools esports.
Okay, you ready?
Yep. You got 30 seconds.
30 seconds? Okay. So esports is basically taken off at our school 3 years ago during COVID. So what it is we have students who are engaged in video gaming. So it's Rocket League is one of the games. There's a Pokemon game this year. And there's also the third game, Brawlhalla is the third game. So the students engage in a sports event, which we have ran at our school, just like we would run any tournament. And we've had other schools at our building, and they're playing against each other in a game called Rocket League right now, which is soccer in a car. So they're driving around trying to score goals in soccer, and it's really taken off. And it's really taken off not only in our school, in some other buildings in Sunrise, and in Winnipeg, and in all surrounding schools. And it's taking off, and it's not cheap. It's not a cheap program. I mean, you're running higher level computers, you're running a lot of those things for kids to participate. So we are lucky to have the director, I guess you could call, of esports early years, who's a teacher at our school. So we are very lucky to have Nathan Goldwyn. And I've chatted with him as well, and he is ready, and I am ready to come and present to the board anytime if you wanted to know more details in depth about what he does and how it's ran. It's just a great, it's another avenue for kids to collaborate, not only to collaborate in a team setting, because they are in teams, learn and interact online, which is something that is important, that kids really need to understand and learn how to do it professionally, nicely. There's all those pieces around it as well. It's not just go play video games. There's lots of learning and teaching around it and collaboration. And I think it's something that, yeah, I could talk more about it, but I just feel like I want to plug it because it is something that we've really developed. And the thing that I want to just add to, it's not just the playing. Okay, we have a team at our school of 20 to 30 students that are on teams that actually participate. We have other students that do setup of all the networking. We have takedown of all the networking. We have kids learning how to stream it for the school, and kids that are actually doing the commentating. So it's not just the playing. There's a lot more aspects to it. And this is a kid at 8 school. Like these are still young kids that are really involved and wanting to learn. So it's really neat to see. And the setup and the takedown in the gym, because we're setting up networks and running cables. It's quite the event. It's great. And if we have something as well, I can send that out. Come by, check it out. It's really cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
So to follow on Don's question, when can we come and watch that? That's incredible, what you just said. Wow.
Thursday nights, Thursday after school, it's a league. So Thursday nights, the setup goes up in the gym. And then from, I forget, it's around 5 o'clock. The setup takes a little bit of time, and the kids practice before, and then they have their scheduled games against other schools in Manitoba. And it runs Thursday nights, and it's for the rest of November, I think. And then the Rocket League, that category closes, and then they move on to a different game. There's a pause, and they move on to a different game. So yeah. You can watch it on stream as well. Like we can get stream links, and then we send out the streaming. We put it on our website, and we send it out as well to parents who then they can watch the games too. It's not just you have to be there, but you can watch it streamed at home. So yeah.
Anyways, do you know what? Thank you. Thank you for coming out, particularly on November the 1st and going ahead and doing this. I know you didn't have any choice, but thanks for coming and doing this. When we get a chance to go ahead and listen to schools, talk a little bit about some of the passion that they have with learning and how things are doing, you've shared that great for us tonight. So thanks for going ahead and doing that. We appreciate it, and yeah, we'll keep in mind a number of things that you said. At the end of the day, we do want to find out, come the end of May, the data that you're collecting is what you're doing working. So I can ask all schools so are you saying is that whatever you're doing, do you find it's working? And do you have the evidence to prove that it's working is really what we're looking for? But good kudos to you guys. Thanks very much. Yeah.
I just want to say thanks again. I get a chance to work with principals on a regular basis, and I, again, tell everybody who ever have a chance to say to that we have great people and great programs and people who love the kids in our school division. So thank you for that, and I will say that publicly on our recording. The attention that our principals and assistant principals give to instructional leadership is bar none in this province. So thank you.
And again, don't feel that you have to stay because we're going through some routine things, but you're more than, you know what, be smart and, yeah, there you go. All right, we have minutes from October the 18th. We need to continue on with business. Be it resolved that the board adopt the October 18th board minutes. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Rowan, seconded by Trustee Smith. Any questions of those minutes? Hearing none, we'll vote. And that passed 9-0. Thank you for going ahead and doing that. We have the 6.0 as our superintendent's report. So I'm going to turn it over to Kathy.
Thank you very much. It's actually quite a pleasure to, I can't escape from my thing that's on here right now. Hang on. Screen, I think I'm good. Sorry. I am up and ready. So it's actually really lovely to bring a superintendent's report, and I have kind of geared the superintendent's report really to A bit of a new start, so giving you an idea of how many students we have in the division. So we are currently sitting at push button, sorry, thank you. We are sitting at 4,789 students in our kindergarten to grade 12 schools. I wanted to say welcome to everybody who is returning and who is new. We now have a new board, and I feel great things are going to happen in this room. One of the pieces that is an important, maybe infrastructure piece, when you hear schools and operational departments come and do presentations, we do school visits. So I'm out in schools once every 6 weeks in rotations, and I work with the schools on their annual school plan. So every 6 weeks I'm in there and we talk through exactly some of the pieces that you've heard here around their school plan and what data are they collecting and how are they doing these things. And they have me in their space every 6 weeks whether they want me to or not. And then my assistant superintendent Lars is in their space every 6 weeks on kind of alternating rotations, talking them through what is working for their student support services teams. So it is an important piece of that support that we give to schools, making sure that they are looking at their data, that they are implementing strategies that are research-based, and that they are building leadership capacity in the division. It's a pretty big job, but it is an important piece of who we are as leaders. The other thing is that once a month, principals, assistant principals, and program leaders, the divisional resource teacher and the divisional career development teacher form the Sunrise Educational Leadership Team. We call them SELF. And thank you, Paul, because we are, as educators, acronym lovers. So I try really hard to make sure that I give you the acronym and then remind me if we happen to talk about an acronym that we haven't shared. Our SELF group meets monthly, and we do share the existing best practices with one another. We gain knowledge on what's happening in the province and through divisional initiatives, and we want to learn and grow as instructional leaders. I included a second attachment for you, which is our framework for learning. And it layers things in like what are we working on at the schools, what are we working on at the provincial level. You will see that Mama Tawissawan document that Chris spoke about in there. And that is kind of the guidepost for all of our schools to look at and say, where is it that we should be doing our work and where should we be focusing our attention? So that's that learning framework that we have. You have it there, and we've also got a big poster size that we'll have up here in this room. I have also left for you each a schedule of the Remembrance Day programs. There is one change on the program just late this afternoon. Whitemouth School is at 10:15, not 10:30. I didn't want to run off new copies, so Whitemouth School is 10:15, not 10:30. If you could just make that quick change in case you're deciding to visit Whitemouth for your Remembrance Day program. I believe some of our principals and assistant principals may have sent out some invites today. We had a quick Zoom meeting this morning or Teams meeting this morning, and they may have sent out an invite. I know that my fast-talking principals are, rivaling me on the fast-talking, but I will say that as my report unless there's questions.
Anybody have questions for Kathy? And if you're asking, is that a typical report? Yes. We're not asking them to read over the reports. That's our job, to read those reports. If there's something that you don't understand or want, here's a great opportunity. But you certainly can ahead of time. Go ahead and email Kathy and ask the question. And I encourage you to email and copy everybody, because if I'm going to ask Kathy a question about a report, why doesn't everybody hear the information that she would go back to? So certainly go ahead and do that. Trustee Harris?
So we're now 2 months into school after, I'll call it after COVID. How excited are the staff and students?
Actually really, really excited. I walk into buildings and get a chance to go touring into classrooms and talk with teachers. It's great to see the interaction that they have with students. They were highly, highly involved with students and student learning during the pandemic, but in a really different way. And I think we've heard a couple of times it's really nice to be able to be interacting, to be doing small group work, to be kind of excited about learning and being outside and playing sports and all of those things that we're missing for the last couple. So lots of smiles on faces, lots of high energy, and a lot of engagement, lots of professional conversations on the go.
Anyone else? Okay. The draft reporting schedule, do you want to touch on that?
One of the things that we've created as a board is a draft reporting schedule. And I think I've shared it a couple of times, but you will see this draft reporting schedule sort of morph throughout the year. I did a quick look and I thought, uh-oh, we need to change the grade 12 provincial assessment because it's actually going to be a grade 10 one. So the next time you see that, I will have this saying grade 10 and it will be highlighted telling you there's a change. As we go through our year, you will see the things that we said we were going to look at and the things that we actually look at. If we said we were going to look at policy committee on September 20th, we didn't until October 4th because we had a date change. So you will always see those little orange blocks on the places and spaces where we have completed things, and that kind of gives us our guidepost to what we want to see during the year. If there are other reports that we come against that we'd like to have on here on a more regular basis, then we can have that discussion and put them on here. But this is a kind of an always draft template that guides us through the year and what we want to see.
Questions for anyone? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Secretary Treasurer's report, Jody.
Yeah, usually for my board meetings, I bring everybody up to speed on what's going on in the operational departments. In the reports, I try and share some pictures because words just sometimes get a little lengthy. So I'll just give everybody a quick update with the transportation department. There is the fuel tender that closed. It is on tonight's agenda later on where we get to vote and award. I just wanted to give the board a bit of a heads up. Last Friday, we usually have a pool of spares for our bus drivers, and on Friday it was pretty close to near full use. So then when it gets to a point where there is a full saturation, we're using all our spares, there is sometimes a consideration that we might have to cancel a bus run because of the lack of bus drivers available. Thankfully, that was not the situation. No family got the phone call saying your buses, you have to drive your student to school. So we were very fortunate that way. But there are times where, especially coming out of COVID, we're seeing all across the board that the availability for spare bus drivers or just spares in general, it is a short list. And we're definitely working on trying to expand that. And as you notice, as you drive around the community of Sunrise, you see the sign that says looking for bus drivers. There's usually an orange sign. So we're definitely looking at ways of growing that bus driver list. But wanted to give you guys a heads up on that one. Out of that, maintenance has been pretty busy at this point in time. Edward Schreyer School, the project's still underway. We saw some weeping tile that went in. We're starting to see some of the landscape. As you can see, there are new front doors installed. There is windows where the plywood is right now. The plywood just above the front door, or the plywood in the window just above the door, we're waiting to hear back from the contractors on that. There's some delay in that specific window. So we're constantly talking. I have meetings every 2 weeks with the contractors, ensuring that they're up to date. And in fact, tomorrow I'll be meeting with the principal at Edward Schreyer School just to see what's going on and to make sure that everybody's at least comfortable trying to teach. Nobody wants to be teaching in a construction zone, and I have to give kudos to both SCI School and ESS. They're doing the best that they can given the conditions that they have. Moving into now SCI, the project is still underway, and if anybody had an opportunity to drive past in Oak Bank, you can see that there's definitely brick going on there. The front is looking amazing, and we're working closely with the contractors on the heating system. So there's some delays on the boilers coming from the States, but we're looking and working with the contractor to connect the old heating system, and then once the new boilers are on site, looking at connecting the new boiler system altogether. So it's been very busy there as well, and I have to give kudos to Kevin and Carol, the principal and vice principal at the school. They're doing a fantastic job coordinating with the staff. It's definitely not an easy task, and they've been doing a great job. Other projects underway, we have a science lab, 3 science lab renewal projects going on, one at Lactabani Senior, one at Whitemouth, and one at Powerview. All of them will have completion dates at the end of December or end of February, or sorry, end of January. So it's just a matter of getting the materials in so the contractors can finish up. The Dougal Daycare parking lot, it was a project that the past board was passionate about. So what that was is an expansion of the parking lot for the Dougal Daycare by the school. So we did partner with the RM of Springfield. They oversaw the contract and worked with the contractors to at least allow about 7 to 9 parking stalls. The only thing that's left outstanding is installing a new fence where the garbage collection bin is. They couldn't salvage the existing one. So we'll have to look at doing that within the budget that we have. So I'll be going to a site visit this week to see how the progress went on that and hopefully share some pictures. And finally, I want to share the great news at the Oakbank Elementary Playground. They had the build on October 27th and 28th. And it sounds like the concrete has hardened, and they had the official opening for Sunday for students to and the community to enjoy the space. I just want to give a job well done to the numerous volunteers there. A big congratulations, of course, to the Oakbank Playground Committee. It definitely was a very, very busy task, and once the fundraising and grant was received from the Oakbank, not Oakbank, I should say the co-op, the Federated Co-op issued them a $115,000 grant. Once that playground committee received that funding, this project really took off, and they were able to secure quotes and look into, and we see the beautiful facility that is constructed today. So I want to say thanks to Erin Strew and Chandra Schultz. Both of them kept Derek and I well aware of their progress and sometimes poking us to make sure that we're on task and understanding what they're doing. So I look forward to hearing what their next phase is for that area. They have a phase 2 in the works as we speak. I have to say I did steal this photo from Trustee Rowan. She shared that with the public, so it was a really good photo. So I grabbed one of those. And then the rest of the departments, finance, they've been busy allocating after the enrollment count from September 29th, I believe it was. They've been busy ensuring that the accounts allocated, and we have student fees. The board approved allocation of student fees to each school. It's about $25 a student to each school. So the schools will start seeing those allocations now in their budget, should be reflected this week. The other departments, ICT has been working on a lot of back-end work regarding student integration system or student information system. They did review a provincial suggestion. The province is looking at creating their own student information services or student information system. So we had our ICT director take a look at what they're suggesting and provide some further feedback. We do also have good news. The department has all positions filled. They had some vacancies over the summer, and we're happy to report that all of them have been filled. Other things that have been happening, I did have a brief discussion with the RMM Whitemouth regarding the sidewalk in front of the school. There's some areas that it's very unstable, so they're looking at putting that in their 5-year capital plan, possibly working on the sidewalk as early as next year. And over the last little while, if nobody knew that there was an election that did take place, and we were fielding multiple phone calls about polling locations, directing them to the website, things like that. So yeah, it's been pretty busy. I also should say, if we have any residents watching online regarding their education property tax, there's been numerous questions fielded from my office specifically that the Manitoba Education Property Tax Credit Advance will be reflected on your property tax bill, but there are residential additional funds. Residential and farm properties will also receive a 37.5% rebate, and that'll be a check in the mail. So should you not receive that, you can contact the Manitoba government for further inquiries. The information should have been provided in their property tax bill. That's it.
Thanks, Jody. Any questions for Jody? Trustee Boyton?
I'm just going back to the bus drivers, and you were saying how they were almost all utilized, and I'm wondering if parents are ever sent out a letter saying that, this could be a risk that this may happen throughout the year, so they could get a heads up that if it did happen, maybe they have a plan, partner with some neighbors, get some pools going, just in case, instead of all of a sudden a call in the morning saying, sorry, there's no bus. Do they get a heads up of any kind, some kind of a letter?
Last year we did put one out identifying that this was a risk. This was kind of a surprise just on the number of staff that were reporting to be away that day or identifying as calling in sick. So it was kind of a surprise, but I think giving folks a heads up would be a fair idea.
Is that on the same issue? Is that question on the same issue, any one of you? Yours is, Dustin? Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I just wanted to dovetail on Trustee Boytson's comments. I'm just wondering if there is certain areas of Sunrise that maybe are a little bit more sparse when it comes to drivers than other areas.
That's a good question. I don't know the specifics, but we do have drivers that are available at any time. So should somebody be from Powerview that isn't available, we will have spare bus drivers waiting to be called out on a trip elsewhere. So,
Is it on this question, Don? Oh, 9:30? So we need to make a meeting extension just for new trustees. Because anytime our meetings are supposed to be over by 9:30, we'll give heck to Dugald School. No, but so Don is right. We do need to make a motion to extend our meeting. Go ahead, Trustee Nicol.
I make a motion that we extend the meeting until 10:15.
So Trustee Nicol has a motion till 10:15, seconded by Trustee Boytson. Any questions to the motion? We'll have to do this by hand. Trustee Dent, yes or no? Yes. Trustee Rowland, yes. Trustee Reed, yes. Trustee Rowland, yes. Trustee Boytson, yes. Trustee Nicol, yes. Trustee Smith, yes. Trustee Harris, yes. Trustee Mangia, yes. Thanks. Okay. To come back on this point, if we're going to just stay on this on bus drivers, Jody, I'd like us to figure out what's our plan, because I don't want to ever tell people that they need to pick up their buses, that pick up their kids. So what's the plan for us to recruit more bus drivers? And so part of it is, I know he came and made a presentation to us about how things are going, but if you're telling this now, I want to hear another plan, and I want to know here's how we're getting more bus drivers. And you know what, last time I heard him talk, he said there was an incentive to, that if I get Trustee Rowland to be a bus driver, there's a potential incentive. I want to come out with a plan as to, and I'm just looking around the room, is that do we want to get a plan back from transportation so that we avoid this and so that we don't have this? So it's really about going back to transportation and saying, come back to us with what do you need to go ahead and us get to train more bus drivers. Are we good with, are we good around with that kind of direction back? Again, it just can't be Paul saying this, we all need to agree to that. Are we good with that? Okay. Thanks, Jody. Anything else for Jody then? Anybody else have a hand up? Did you did? Sorry, Trustee Rowland.
I was just wondering about the Assembly. Is the parent portal open yet? Do you know if parents can access marks from their children online yet? I personally haven't tried, and I've forgotten my password from last year, so I'm waiting to know if I can access my students' marks online.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I know we had some issues with Assembly in the early part of the fall, so I'll follow up with Gord to see what the status is. Yeah.
Anything else for Jody? Jody, I have two. One is we've got two schools that have been turned upside down. And maybe this is a you and Kathy, and this is just Paul speaking, and the rest of you can think, but what can we do to, I don't know if we say thanks to the school, or is there anything that we can do from a board, because things have been so disruptive? Could you guys think about and come back to us with regard to, and again, this is just Paul, and if it's not something that everybody else wants to do, but those schools have been turned upside down, and I'm just wondering if there's something that the board can go ahead and do, whether we're saying thank you or whatever to these schools, because these schools, these teachers, these students, life is upside down for them. So again, this is just Paul, and it really needs to, is that something that we would like to go ahead and see as a board? Again, it would have to be, are we okay with them? I'm just asking for her to come back and give us some suggestions about, are there things that we can go ahead and do to support those schools? Yes, no?
Put it on the agenda for next meeting.
Okay. Put it on the agenda and see where we get to? Okay. The only other thing is student fees. I don't know if it's a student fee, Jody, but we did give money to the schools. Is there a way that we can make sure we track that and then come back to us with what they're spending that money with? And then it'll make us a decision as to what we're going to do with that, if we're going to do with something like that in the future. Okay.
Yeah, I can definitely, what we have right now is set up, identified the funds allocated to the schools, and they will be tracked. Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll keep going. So board business. So for the board here, this is things that come to us that we probably can, they're motions that need to come out of us, but we can move through these pretty quickly. So we've got Edward Schreier, grades 9 and 12, a trip to Assisipi, March 12th to 14th. So be it resolved, the board approve in principle the Ecole Schreier, grade 9 and 12, Assisipi ski area near Russell, March 12th to 14th, subject to the superintendent's final approval. I need a motion. Motion by trustee Rowland, seconded by trustee Smith. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Thank you, 9-0. Edward Schreier, grade 9 to 12 senior orchestra to Moose Jaw. Be it resolved that the board approve in principle that the Edward Schreier grade 9 to 12 senior orchestra Moose Jaw Band and Choral Festival, May 14th to 17th, subject to superintendent's final approval. I move a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Dent, seconded by trustee Rowan. Questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Rowan. I'll be Rowan and Dent. Thank you. Passed 9-0. 8.3 is Edward Schreier, grade 7 and 8, Assisipi ski area trip, February 15th to 17th. Be resolved, the board approve in principle the Edward Schreier, grade 7 and 8, Assisipi ski trip, February 15th to 17th, subject to superintendent's final approval. Moved by trustee Boytson, seconded by trustee Reed. Just didn't want to say Rowan or Rowland again. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. It's past 9-0. Thank you. Subdivision in the arm of Reynolds. This is for information. Certainly, Jody, if there's questions or anything, highlights of this that you wanted to share.
I think at this point in time, it's kind of interesting reviewing the map, potentially the map that that they provided us, maybe indicating the wrong area, but it's provided from the province, so I'll follow up with that. Other than that, pretty standard subdivision.
Trustee Nickel? All right, so trustees, we do get information with regard to subdivisions being put up. It's then about us working with the municipalities. Is there something that we need to consider about with this subdivision? Do we need some land from them? What do we need in case that do we need to expand our schools, et cetera, et cetera? So that's something to keep in mind as we move through these. We do ask Jody to keep records of all the different subdivisions that are there, and if you're ever wanting to look or if you're wanting to know exactly what has come back to us now over the last little while with regard to particularly in the Springfield area, Jody would have a list of those. 8.5 school carryover progress report. Jody?
Yeah, I see on our annual or our draft budget plan, not budget, but our draft reporting schedule. There we go. This is on the list, and we'll also report this information in later in April. But to give everybody the update, yes, there was a board motion approved to approve about $70,000 to be carried over to the next budget year to be used by schools. Schools are required to have a motion passed if they want to carry over greater than 3% of the budgeted funds that were available to them through surplus. Throughout the year-end process, there was about 41,000 that actually was carried over, and they were allotted to the schools of Beausejour Early Years, Dugald School, Powerview, Gillis, Grosse Colony, Hazel Ridge, as well as Oakbank Elementary. For the most part, in the report, it identifies what the funds are intended to be used for. After reaching out to the schools, I did get more feedback on greater detail as the week progressed, but majority have either spent the funds or a portion of the funds, or they've built the requisition to fully utilize. So I hope to report back in or later in April that the funds have been spent, with the exception, Dugald School, their intention is to use the surplus funds for hardtop on the east side of the school as part of a greater project that may require to be carried over to the next year, depending on how much fundraising and things like that happen. Gillis School, that's another one where they intend to do landscaping, plant some trees, things like that. So the intention is to be done in spring of 2023.
Questions for Jody? So school budgets are ideally to be spent in the school year as to where they are. When schools ask to carry things over, do we give you too much money? What's the plan? What's the plan to go ahead and use them for? This is what that's for. So thanks, Jody, for following that up and continuing informing the board. We have monthly enrollment report. I think that's you, Kath.
This just gives you a look month by month in terms of where the enrollment is at each of our schools. So you can go down and look at how many students were enrolled at a particular school in September and October, and we will track that throughout the year all across and show you the number of students at each of our schools.
Questions for anybody? Trustee Boyton?
Just curious, has enrollment gone up or down from last year?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this at a previous meeting. It has gone up from last year in the overall total. Sometimes it's hard to make that June to September because if there's more grade 12s going in less kindergartens, but right now we have less grade 12s going out and more kindergartens coming in. So we have been increasing, but pretty stable over the years.
It is a good document to go ahead and take a look at come September, and then taking a look at February, March, and seeing is there a fluctuation certainly in the schools. We certainly will have some schools where we'll see large fluctuations, and some will hold very steady as to where we are. So thanks for that, Kath. Fuel tender, Jody.
We brought it, we're bringing it to the board today. We did do a fuel tender. It was interesting to see the submissions. ESSO, or WEX Canada Limited, was the first time that they actually applied for the tender. So it's kind of interesting to see a new group in the field. So what we've identified in the report for Powerview, we're recommending that, I believe it was ESSO WexCan that'll be suggested to be awarded. For the Beausejour Whitemouth area, it'll be the Beausejour Consumers Cooperative. And for the Lac du Bonny and Oakbank area, it's the Federated Cooperative Limited. Both co-op have been existing vendors of ours for these tenders. What I wanted to point out though, in the Enola area, there was no company that actually bid or submitted a bid in our tender. So when that doesn't happen, we go to the next step, which is requesting quotes. So based on that, we were able to receive a quote back from one vendor from the Enola area, which is the Petro-Canada. So that's why we have two motions written, two motions written, one identifying who we're suggesting to be awarded for the tender and who we're awarding based on the quotes received.
Just to be clear with everybody, some people may be wondering, oh, am I in a conflict of interest if I'm a co-op member and do you know what, we're voting on a tender? Well, I'm a co-op member. I don't live in Beaujeu anymore, but I'm still a co-op member. And do you know what, do I feel that I'm in a conflict of interest? No, I don't. Do you know what, it's not something that personally my family's, that I believe I'm going to gain from. We're bidding on a price for fuel. So, just sharing my thoughts. That's up to each individual trustee, but that's kind of where I stand. So, I'll put the motion on the floor and then we can have some further discussion if need be. Be it resolved that the request for tender number 14-22 fuel be awarded to the following companies effective December the 1st, 2022. SO Wexcan Limited for Powerview location for a 3-year contract. Beaujeu Consumer Cooperative Limited for the Beaujeu and Whitemouth locations for a 3-year contract. Federated Cooperative Limited for the Lactabonnie and Oakbank locations for a 3-year contract. And be it further resolved that the price quote for the fuel for Enola location be awarded to the Suncor Energy Petrocan for a term of 3 years with a possibility to extend for an additional 2 years effective December the 1st, 2022. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Nichols, seconded by Trustee Boytson. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Okay, so it passed with 8 saying yes, and we had 1 abstention. Trustee Rowan abstained. Thank you. So committee reports. So we have a new policy committee. So we're not reporting. I'm assuming we're not reporting on anything from the past. So the new policy committee, that's Trustee Boytson. You'll meet with Trustee Superintendent Timko and with your group to set up meeting dates and go from there. Fair? Okay. And we have Finance Committee. So we have Trustee Rowland as the chair of our Finance Committee. With your committee, you'll set up, you'll sit down very quickly if you can do it tonight, and then meet with Secretary Treasurer Thiessen and have set up when meeting dates are and then move from there. So right now, while I'm still set up for electronic signing, is that I'll continue to sign for the month of November, and then Trustee Rowland and Trustee Harris will get into a rotation to go ahead and do that. But I made the arrangements tonight with Andrea for us to continue on. And then certainly you guys will get into involved in that. We do not have a finance committee, any kind of finance minutes or check registers, so we're going to move on. The Education Foundation is, just so that people know, it's a foundation that we have that Jody is waiting on lawyers to report some information. Okay.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So what the process is to update the to update the Education Foundation. We have to file an affidavit and all that kind of information to get the foundation information updated. It's filed with the court system. With our latest approval of the financial statements, that's an additional document that we now have to file as well. So later this week, I'm scheduled to talk with our lawyer to ensure that all the documentation that we've prepared is all, meets the requirements and can be completed and filed. So I'll find out more information and hopefully update the board on a date for when it'll be going to the courts.
Questions? Okay, none. Thanks, Joy. The next thing that we have on here would be professional development, and so trustees, there is a conference coming up on December the 1st and 2nd. It's the Manitoba School Boards Association Annual Conference. I am part of the organizing committee that's going ahead and doing that. Of this 2-day event, one of the days is where you'll meet with other trustees in Region 3, and we're Region 3. So what does that mean to you? Hanover, Lord Selkirk, Seine River, Interlake, Lakeshore, Evergreen. So they're in ours. The superintendents are with us. I'm not sure if the secretary treasurers are with us as well. They can be. We then I'll facilitate a session where we'll put you in tables with people from all different divisions, and then we'll get to talk about topics that we want to go ahead and talk about. How do you do budgeting, et cetera, those kind of things. We will be asking for topics from school, from divisions to go ahead and bring forward, but that will be going on at those 2 days. If you're interested, you need to be get a hold of Stacy. If you're interested and you need to stay in the city, and for accommodations, you need to get a hold of Stacy to let her know. If you're traveling back and forth, we'll cover your cost about traveling back and forth. If you're going to stay in there, you'll stay in there. There is, as you saw in your what do we call it? What did we discuss on Saturday? Our indemnity. You'll see is that there is at our orientation. Thank you. There is expenses that you can claim based on when you're traveling and those kind of things. They're there. And if you ever need to know that, ask Stacy. Stacy will be able to help you. But you do need to get to Stacy, particularly if she needs to book you a room. The deadline is the 18th. I would say that it's probably earlier to get a room. So if you want to get a room as quickly as possible. Get a hold of Stacy. Questions on the conference? Okay. So normally we would have a divisional financial summary report, and it's put together by Jody with the help of the finance committee to doing some sharing. We don't have one here. Board correspondence, you'll see information in there, a letter from the Minister of Education, whoever that guy is, about sharing information with us. You'll see that in there. A number of things, nice to know information. So Remembrance Day, thanks Kathy for giving us all those things about Remembrance Day. You'll talk a little, they'll share some things certainly about how our students are doing with nice to know information. You've got some upcoming meetings that are there. Our next meeting is the 15th and December the 6th. And again, I think that we talked about the orientation. I'll reach out to trustees, and if there is a time that and I'm volunteering Kathy here, but if, do you know what, there's a time where we can sit down and, whether on Teams or something, and just reach out to say, okay, they talked about this, and this is the meeting. You know what, I didn't want to go ahead and interrupt everybody, but maybe we can share some information that'll help you with some of the questions. Because Dugald School talked about a lot of things, and maybe that's not, everything was taken in, and that's okay, because there is a lot of jargon that schools talk about. So that's something that Kathy and I will reach out to you and see if that's something that you want to go ahead and do. We have no press releases from ourselves. 14.1 is questions from the public. Jody, are there any questions from the public? Yeah.
No, we don't have anything coming in.
Serena, is there anything that you have for us?
Okay, I just want to say I'm super excited to work with everybody here, and I know that this year is going to be amazing, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You know what, Serena, we're really happy that you've come in here, and we want to build, certainly to continue to build a relationship you know, with our teachers, one of our most valuable assets, certainly in the school division, because we have lots of them. But you know what, thank you for being here. And yeah, you know what, if we can, as certainly that STA liaison committee and any other time, if we can share and talk, we'd love to.
Keep an eye out on your emails because I'll be sending an invite out for you guys to come and meet with us over at the STA office as well. So just to build those relationships a little bit more, anything that I can do to help, I'm more than willing to do.
So we don't have to move into in camera, and so items we don't have, and so the last thing is we're adjourned. And thank you to your trustees for coming and getting through our first meeting. And I'm sorry that it's late, but let's get out of here because long drive home for some. Enjoy. Thank you.